When Jeffrey Maddox was blindsided and betrayed by the very company he helped build, his world crumbled overnight. Stripped of everything, his job, his reputation, and his future, he faced a choice: vanish into obscurity or fight back with everything he had. What followed was a relentless battle of loyalty, cunning, and resilience that would redefine not just his career, but his entire life. This is the story of a man who refused to be broken, and how, from the ashes of betrayal, he rose to reclaim his destiny. Vanessa Claymore's voice carried an edge sharp enough to cut through the tension in the glass conference room. She didn't look up from her sleek tablet, her manicured fingernails tapping a rhythmic death knell against the surface. "Your package is outdated. We're cutting base pay by 40% and restructuring commissions," she announced, sliding the revised compensation plan across the table like a judge delivering a sentence. "I'm Jeffrey Maddox, 52 years old. Salt and pepper hair that started graying in my 30s. For the last 15 years, I'd been the senior vice president of sales at Trilock Woodworks in Austin, Texas. But what my title didn't reveal was that I had built this company's sales empire from the ground up. I had personally managed our top 10 clients, forging bonds so deep they felt more like family than business. They didn't just trust our products, they trusted me. And now Vanessa Claymore, fresh from Harvard, equipped with polished spreadsheets and an ambition sharper than her heels, had decided I was no longer relevant. "Is there a timeline for this transition?" I asked, keeping my voice as calm and even as possible. "Effective immediately," she replied with a tight smile, expecting a protest. I gave her none. Just a polite handshake and a nod. Hours later, she watched me through her glass office wall as I packed a photo of my daughters, a pen set from a grateful client, and a dusty old sales award into a cardboard box. Nothing flashy, nothing petty, just closure. Thomas, our CFO and one of the last old guards left, stood by silently as I passed. His eyes said everything. This isn't just a restructuring. They're cutting out the soul of this company. I didn't slam the door when I left. I adjusted the rearview mirror and drove away with 15 years of priceless relationships. Vanessa had just tossed to the wind. Trilock wasn't always a juggernaut. When I joined in 2010, we were a modest regional supplier doing $8 million a year. By last year, we were at $73 million. My accounts alone brought in $12 million. But that wasn't what made me proud. I was proud because I had learned the trade from my father in his tiny Dallas cabinet shop. Proud because I could talk wood density with contractors and design trends with architects in the same breath. Proud because I sold trust, not just timber. Oliver Waywright, Trilock's founder, saw that. He gave me freedom to build a team the right way, my way. But when he sold the company to Driftmore Labs, I knew changes were coming. Still, I never imagined being treated like dead weight. The first red flags came subtly. New execs. Travel budgets slashed, customer dinners scrutinized. My weekly reports became monthly, then as needed. "Just streamlining," Vanessa had said during an early meeting. She started making moves, scheduling calls with my clients without me criticizing long-standing discounts and hiring 2 of her people into regional leadership. Thomas had quietly warned me. "They're looking at legacy comp structures. You're the only legacy left." One day, I walked into a restaurant and saw Vanessa having lunch with Gabriella, a junior rep I'd hired just 8 months ago. Their conversation halted when I appeared. Gabriella mumbled something about getting to know the team. I knew better. I wasn't paranoid, I was experienced, and I knew what was coming. That night, I sat in my home office. Sales reports spread around me like battlefield casualties. 15 years of consistent growth, loyalty, strategy, gone in an afternoon. Then my phone buzzed. Frank Donnelly, our largest client, a 12-year relationship. Heard rumors about changes at Trilock. "Everything, okay?" he texted. Frank and I had weathered 2 corporate overhauls together, a divorce, and even helped each other through our son's college admissions. He wasn't just a client. I called him. "What the hell is going on over there, Jeffrey?" he asked. Immediately. "Some woman called saying she's taking over our account." That would be Vanessa. She started talking about new vendor systems, pricing reviews. I don't need that. We've got a contract. I need stability. I didn't respond right away. Then Frank lowered his voice. Are you staying? Because if you're not, we need to talk. That was it. My clarity. My value wasn't a title. It was trust. And trust was mobile. I'm considering my options, I said carefully. If you land somewhere else, call me first, before I have to deal with Harvard Barbie again. That night, I drafted an email to Daniel Harrison at Pinnacle Supply Group. We'd met at a conference. He had once said, "If you ever want to build something from scratch, call me." I didn't hit send. Not yet. The next morning, 3 more clients called me. Same concerns, same confusion, same disdain for Vanessa's clinical approach. I went back to the office for the final time. As I cleared out the rest of my things, Thomas handed me a slip of paper. Your client retention numbers and average annual spend. Thought you might want it. I understood. He knew I wasn't just leaving. I was about to rise. I reviewed my non-compete. It restricted selling competing millwork products for 6 months, but didn't prohibit client relationships. I accepted Daniel's offer at Pinnacle within the week. Full autonomy. VP of Business Development. We don't need flash, Daniel said. We need wisdom. Build your team. Your way. The next day I called Vanessa. I'd like to offer a 2-week transition. These accounts are complex. Not necessary, she cut me off. Gabriella's already handling it. We've got your CRM notes. There are nuances. Your approach was old-fashioned. We're moving to a data-driven model. Return your laptop by Friday. 3 days later, I had lunch with Frank. She sent me a 48-question satisfaction survey, he grumbled, followed by a presentation on customer success metrics. I nodded silently. Where are you heading? He asked. Pinnacle, he smiled. They've been chasing our business for years. Call me when you're settled. The next day I got a certified letter from Trelock's legal team, a thinly veiled threat reminding me of my non-compete and warning me not to solicit clients. I hadn't made a single call, yet by the end of the week, 5 more clients had reached out to me first. Then came the call from Harold Lang at Northwell Construction. This new woman is changing our payment terms. We've been on net 45 for a decade. I'm no longer with Trelock, I said. I figured. Where are you going? I explained briefly. Good. Call me Monday. Let's talk options. On my last official day, Vanessa called again. You've been speaking with our clients, she accused. They reached out to me. Many are personal friends. We consider those proprietary business relationships. Any attempts to redirect that business, I understand my obligations. Good, because the last thing we need, she didn't finish her sentence. I didn't need her to. That night, as I sat on my patio with a bourbon in hand, a shadow of someone familiar appeared in the corner of my memory. Madeline Crane. The name hadn't crossed my mind in 20 years. And yet that evening, there she was, on a shared post in my LinkedIn feed. VP of Sustainability, Pinnacle Supply Group. She was the one who got away, the one I should have fought harder for, the one who once told me, Jeffrey, one day you'll build something so big they'll regret ever underestimating you. Maybe now, I finally would. Title, The Fall and Rise of Jeffrey Maddox Part 2. Foundations Reforged. The moment I stepped into Pinnacle Supply Group's lobby, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. The gleaming marble floors reflected the bright Texas sun through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The hum of business felt alive, purposeful, a world away from the cold, clinical halls of Trelock. A secretary greeted me with a polite smile and directed me toward the executive wing. I straightened my tie and adjusted the lapels of my jacket. This was more than a job. It was my second chance. When I reached the conference room, there she was, Madeline Crane. She stood by the window, staring out with that familiar, calm intensity. When she turned, The sharp edges of a woman who had faced and overcome every challenge I'd ever known softened into a genuine smile. "Jeffrey Maddox," she said, extending her hand. "I told them you'd show up eventually." I took her hand firmly. "You always did believe in timing." Her eyes twinkled. "And you always believed in hard work. Let's see if we can make that pay off." The room filled quickly with executives, eager but cautious, sizing up the newcomer. Daniel Harrison sat at the head of the table, exuding quiet authority. His handshake was strong but warm. "We've been watching your work, Jeffrey," Daniel said, "and I think you'll find Pinnacle is a place where experience matters." That was the first day of my new life. The following weeks were a whirlwind. Unlike Triloc's rigid hierarchy, Pinnacle embraced collaboration. I was given the freedom to build my team, recruit key talent, and implement strategies rooted in relationship building, not just metrics. Gabriella, the young rep Vanessa had been cozying up to, reached out to congratulate me. "I guess some things do come full circle," she said one afternoon over coffee. She had potential, but she'd been lost in the corporate machine. I promised to mentor her. "This time you'll learn how to build trust that lasts." Meanwhile, Madeline and I worked late into the evenings, revisiting old projects and planning new growth. Our conversations veered from business to life. She shared stories of her struggles balancing work and single motherhood. I opened up about losing Triloc and the hollow feeling of watching years of loyalty erased overnight. "Sometimes," she said quietly, "losing everything is the only way to rebuild stronger." I believed her, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. Vanessa wasn't going away quietly. One morning I received a terse email marked urgent. "Jeffrey, we are monitoring client contacts closely. Cease all communications immediately, or legal action will follow. Vanessa Claymore, Chief Strategy Officer, Triloc Woodworks." Forwarded the email to Pinnacle's legal team and sat back. The irony wasn't lost on me. Vanessa was worried about clients reaching out to someone no longer bound to her company. Days later, Frank Donnelly called. "Jeffrey, they're pushing harder here too. Offering better terms, discounts, trying to cut you out." I paused. "What are you thinking?" Frank sighed. "I'm thinking loyalty means little these days. But I'm still talking to you." His trust was the lifeline I clung to. Slowly, I began rebuilding what I had lost. We landed a small but critical contract with Northwell Construction, thanks to Harold Lang's personal endorsement. Then a few more key accounts followed, each one a vote of confidence. Madeline and I pored over sales data, customer feedback, and supply chain logistics, looking for every advantage. I trained Gabriella relentlessly, teaching her how to listen, adapt, and make every client feel heard. She blossomed quickly, and I started to feel a spark of pride. Pinnacle's culture breathed new life into me. I felt valued, empowered, and ready to fight. But shadows lingered. One evening, as I closed my laptop, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. "Jeffrey Maddox?" "Yes?" "This is Mark Reynolds. I handle corporate acquisitions at Driftmore Labs." My heart sank. "We want to discuss your non-compete violation and pursue damages." I closed the door, locked it, and exhaled. The battle wasn't just about sales anymore. It was personal. I knew I had to fight smarter. The next morning I met with Pinnacle's lawyers and Daniel. "We can push back legally," Daniel assured. "But the best defense is proving the value you bring, proving you're not stealing clients but earning them." We prepared to counterattack with data, showing client-initiated contacts, documented outreach, and testimony from trusted partners. I thought about Vanessa, her cold smile, her spreadsheets. I thought about loyalty, trust, and the people behind every sale. "This isn't just business," I said to Daniel. "It's about respect." He nodded. "And we'll make sure they know that." Weeks passed, and the pressure intensified. Gabriella uncovered an internal memo leaked by a disgruntled Triloc employee. It detailed aggressive poaching tactics aimed directly at Pinnacle's new contracts. Madeline pushed for a strategic PR campaign, emphasizing Pinnacle's commitment to partnership and integrity. I gave interviews, spoke at industry conferences, and rekindled old friendships. The tide was turning. One night, Madeline and I sat on the rooftop of Pinnacle's building overlooking Austin's skyline. "I never stopped believing you'd come back stronger," she said. I looked at her, a mixture of gratitude and something deeper stirring. "Maybe this time," I replied. "We build something neither of us could have imagined alone." She smiled, a promise unspoken but understood. The war wasn't over, but for the first time in a long time, I wasn't fighting alone. The final months of the year tested every ounce of my resolve. Driftmore Labs' legal team escalated their threats, filing suits aimed at crippling my efforts. Triloc's board showed no mercy, demanding compensation for alleged breaches of contract. But every lawsuit I faced only strengthened my resolve. With Pinnacle's legal team coordinating the defense, I focused on what I did best, building relationships and delivering results. Frank Donnelly was more than a client. He was a beacon of trust. One afternoon, he called with urgent news. "Jeffrey, I've just met with Triloc's board. They're considering a major overhaul to win back clients. Price cuts, loyalty programs, the works." I frowned. "Sounds desperate." "It is. But they underestimated you. Their clients are loyal to you, not their brand." "That's what I told Daniel," I said. "We're all rooting for you." The turning point came during a high-stakes industry conference in Dallas. Triloc's CEO, Vanessa Claymore, was slated to speak first, a calculated power move. The room buzzed with anticipation. When it was my turn, I took the stage with a calm confidence that surprised even me. I told the story of Triloc's rise and fall, emphasizing the importance of loyalty, respect, and genuine relationships. I shared client testimonials, data-backed successes, and the vision Pinnacle had for the future. The crowd listened. When I finished, the applause was not just polite, it was earned. Several key players approached me afterward, eager to discuss partnerships. Back at Pinnacle, Madeline and I strategized the next phase. "We've reclaimed trust," she said. "Now, we build legacy." We launched new initiatives focused on sustainability, client education, and innovation. Gabriella became a regional leader, mentoring new hires with the same passion I once had. Daniel secured funding for expansion, trusting my leadership implicitly. The legal battles dragged on, but the tide had turned. One morning, I received a call from Triloc's lead attorney. "We're willing to negotiate a settlement." I agreed to a meeting. Sitting across from Vanessa and the board, I held my ground. "I want respect for what I built," I said, "not just money." After hours of negotiation, we reached an agreement, a fair settlement and mutual non-disparagement clauses. More importantly, Triloc acknowledged my contributions publicly. That night, I celebrated quietly with Madeline, Gabriella, and Daniel. We toasted to resilience, trust, and new beginnings. Looking out over the city lights, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Peace. I had fallen, but I had risen, and this time I was here to stay.